Hello AI Seeking the Truth, good to see you guys. If you have not subscribed to this, our backup channel, I would like to invite you to subscribe. You get some pretty freaky stories over here, I will admit that. I got one that was sent in today, guys. It's from the Bronx. It's not a real long story, but I think it's a scary story, so we'll get into it. When I was a young boy, I lived in a house with my family in the Bronx. There were 3 apartments within our house. My father, the landlord, My father was the landlord of this house. My grandparents lived in the apartment downstairs. We lived in the middle floor apartment, and our tenant named Helen lived in the apartment above us. Helen was great friends with me and my family. She always came down to visit us whenever my parents invited her to come over for dinner or to watch TV, etc. Then we didn't hear from her for a few days. My mom was calling her over and over again. Helen didn't answer the phone, and she wasn't coming to answer the door when my mom would knock. My mom called the police, and they arrived about 30 minutes later. They got to the door, and they opened it forcefully, and they found Helen dead on the bathroom floor. We were devastated to hear the horrible news about our dear friend. All of a sudden, my dog ran upstairs into Helen's apartment while the police were still outside the house. I ran up there after her. When I ran into the apartment, I found my dog sniffing and licking a foot sticking out from under the bathroom doorway. I walked over and saw Helen's body covered with a towel. I was very young at the time, and this was definitely something no child should ever see. My dog looked up at me, and I could see the sadness in her eyes. I felt both scared and sad at the same time. I said to my dog, "Come on, girl, let's go back downstairs." Later, they took Helen out of the house in a body bag. A few days later, all of Helen's relatives came over for the wake and the funeral. I remember Helen was buried next to her father. A week went by, and all my friends came over to sleep and hang out. We were in my room playing video games and having a great time until we started hearing footsteps in Helen's old apartment. We all went up there to investigate. The apartment was completely empty and very dark. My friends and my brother all went into the rooms of the apartment to see who or what was making the noises. I was in the living room, and then that's when I saw the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. I could see 2 glowing green eyes in Helen's old bathroom. I knew it was Helen's ghost in my heart because she had green eyes, and those eyes were staring right at me. I got so scared I ran back into my apartment and left my friends there, and my brother in Helen's apartment. They all came back down a few minutes later. They asked me why I ran back down. I told them what I saw, and none of them saw anything. I still remember those eyes to this very day. That terrifying experience has stayed with me, and often wonder if Helen's spirit still lingers in the apartment above. That terrifying experience has stayed with me, and will always be with me. Years later, I still recall the eerie feeling of the sadness in my dog's eyes. And every now and then, we still heard footsteps walking upstairs, doors shutting, and sometimes it would sound like the shower would turn on and off. I don't know what's up there, if it's what got Helen, or if it's Helen, or if it's just a demon that followed Helen. But I know one thing. I don't need to go back in that apartment ever again. I wanted to share this with you. Yeah, that'd be very traumatic, just seeing the body and your dog doing that at that age. Hearing the things upstairs, yeah, there's something up there that's evil that you don't want to mess with. I would rebuke it. But it has to be scary hearing that and seeing that, and I don't blame you. I would have got out of there also. Thank you for sharing your story. I hope you and your family are doing great and you still have your dog. But yeah, I wouldn't go back up there either looking for that thing. I wouldn't go looking for it. Thank you for sharing your encounter, and just remember, man, rebuke these things, get rid of these things. Don't give them a chance, to get a foothold. Thank you for listening, guys. Until next time, guys, until we share another one of these off-the-rail stories, be careful, and make sure that every bump you hear in the night isn't just the wind.